All right, let's dive into something that's on a lot of people's minds. If your organization has put in the work to implement an AI risk management framework, you've probably hit that next big question. Is this thing actually working? Today, we're going beyond just the setup and into the real heart of the matter, how to evaluate its effectiveness. So, you've done it. You've read the NIST documents, you've mapped out the processes, you've adopted the AI risk management framework, the RMF. But here's the question that really counts. Is it making a difference? I mean, are you really managing risk, or are you just managing a process?
You know, the key to answering that question is hiding in plain sight, right on page 1 of the NIST framework itself. It calls the RMF a living document. And that's not just a nice turn of phrase, it's the entire design philosophy. It means your framework isn't some project you finish and put on a shelf. Nope, it's a capability that has to breathe, adapt, and evolve right alongside your organization and the tech itself.
And that idea brings us to our first major point. If you really want to evaluate how effective this is, you absolutely have to get past thinking of the RMF as just a checklist. I mean, look, the official NIST playbook says it right here, crystal clear. If your goal is just to tick a bunch of boxes, you're kind of missing the whole point. The real win here is to build a culture of risk management, to fundamentally shift how your teams think about, build, and deploy AI. And you can't measure a cultural shift with a simple checklist.
Okay, so if it's not a checklist, then what is it? A much better way to think about it, a better metaphor, is to see the RMF as an engine. A risk management engine that you have to carefully build before you can really fire it up and get it running.
And every engine has its core components, right? This slide shows you the 4 essential functions that make this one work. You've got govern, which sets the rules of the road and the culture. You have map, which is all about identifying the context and the specific risks. Measure is where you analyze and track those risks. And finally, manage is where you actually do something about them. And these functions, they have a logical flow. Govern is the bedrock. It's the accountability and structure that holds everything else up. And from that foundation, you kick off this iterative cycle. You map the risks, you measure their potential impact, and then you manage your response. This isn't a straight line, it's a loop that helps you constantly get smarter. This right here is a perfect example of what building the engine looks like in the real world. Under that govern function, you're not just talking about high-level ideas. No, you're creating real, tangible policies for things like data quality, model testing, and how you engage with stakeholders. This is the wiring that makes the whole engine run. So, the engine is built. Great, now you have to run it. A truly effective RMF isn't some machine that just sits on the garage looking pretty. It's an engine that needs to be running, monitored, and fine-tuned all the time. This is where we create that continuous loop. This is the big mindset shift, from something static to something dynamic. It's the difference between saying, yep, we've implemented the RMF, and saying, we are actively managing our AI risk every day. The key to being dynamic is all about continuous improvement, and that is driven by a feedback loop. And here's what that feedback loop looks like. First, you implement the controls and policies you built. Then, you constantly monitor how they're performing. Next, and this is crucial, you evaluate the outcomes. Did they actually do what you expected? And finally, you take what you learned and you refine your policies. It's a nonstop cycle of learning and adapting. Now, to make this loop a real thing and not just a nice diagram, you have to operationalize it. That means putting it on the calendar. You need a formal schedule for reviews. When are we going to reassess our core policies? Quarterly? How often do we look at our key risk metrics? Monthly. Putting it in writing turns a good intention into a real organizational commitment.
So that leads us to the big one. How do you actually measure success? What are the tangible results that prove your risk engine is running smoothly and actually creating value for the organization?
A huge part of the answer is wrapped up in an acronym you're going to see a lot. TVV. It stands for Test, Evaluation, Verification, and Validation. Just think of TVV as the complete diagnostic toolkit for your AI systems. These are the formal processes you use to get hard data and confirm that a system is actually doing what it's supposed to do. A mature RMF leads to much stronger TVV practices. This slide just nails the contrast between before and after. Before a mature RMF, a lot of decisions are based on gut feeling. Afterwards, you have explicit go, no-go criteria for deploying new AI. Before, risk awareness is kind of fuzzy. Afterwards, your teams clearly understand the trade-offs, like, say, performance versus explainability, and they can have a real conversation about it.
And at the end of the day, the proof is in the data. A framework that's actually working should lead to a measurable drop in risk over time. Whether you're tracking incidents, the severity of risks, or how fast your teams respond, you should be able to look at a chart like this and see a clear, positive trend that shows your RMF is delivering real-world value.
So what does this all add up to? Well, it's about building an organization that isn't just using AI. It's about becoming an organization that is truly ready for the future of AI.
And these are the official signs of success, straight from NIST. First, you have those clear go-no-go processes. Second, you see way better information sharing about risks and your TEV practices, both inside your teams and with partners. And third, you've built a culture that genuinely prioritizes managing AI risk. These aren't just process improvements, they are serious strategic advantages. So we'll leave you with this one question. Take a look at your own organization's approach to AI risk. Is it a static defense? Just a set of rules to stop bad things from happening? Or is it a dynamic engine? A system that's constantly learning, adapting, and actually driving trustworthy innovation forward? The difference between those two things, well, it's everything. Thanks for joining us.